What up? It's Magic D Magician Tarot. You can like, share, and subscribe below if you're brand new. If you are back, if you're loyal, welcome back. Today is Friday, February 15th, 2019, and we're going to just do a little tarot card review, and I'm going to show you some of the decks that I use in my videos. So first of all, I want to thank all y'all subscribers that have been with me from the beginning. Y'all are my sustenance. And so yeah, let's see what's in here. I've been doing tarot cards since I was 10 years old. I found my first deck at an estate sale. And funny story about that, it was the only thing in this particular area of the house that I was in. I remember, I think I went into like a suitcase or something like that. Something a little, brave. Popped it open, and then I saw it, and I took it home, and my dad found it, a little bit later on. My mom was the one who got them for me, so she, knew what they were. There's somebody in my family that also does tarot, and she was like, all right, she didn't think anything of it. She was maybe a little bit spooked out, but really didn't think anything of it. And then my dad found them, and next thing I know, they're gone. So he said they were, not really in line with our religion. And he kind of feared them, feared their power and people that used them. So that kind of, colored my idea of them. I was a little bit wary of them. I understood that they had, some sort of power of divination, whether or not it's the cards or the reader. That's for individual users to debate. But anyway, this awesome deck. And poof, disappears. So, number of years later, and I had just kind of started learning how to use them. I wasn't really proficient or anything like that, but at that point, I grew up. A couple years passed, and I went out of my state to Tennessee. I was in Memphis, Tennessee, on Beale Street, and then lo and behold, in this shop that I was in, we were on a field trip, so they let us leave for the field trip on this bus. We went. It was pretty far, but at a certain point, we got to kind of shop around, and that's when I happened upon the same exact deck. Same printing, same color, no other tarot cards to be chosen from at that time. There was no selection. It was in a case in the front of like a touristy sort of shop, but also looked like it'd been there for a while. Leather goods, boots, buckles, things of that nature, and it was the same deck. So, I had a little bit of cash with me, very little bit of cash with me, because, I grew up with not a lot of money. But anyway, I had just enough to purchase these cards. And I think I bought them, they maybe were no more than like $30 or something like that, but maybe 15, low as 15 maybe, like 15. To me it felt like 30. But anyway, got that deck of cards. And this is that deck of cards, the packaging. It was at one point ripped up by my dog and then taped back together by my ex. So, seeing a lot, It's all tape, keeping this together. It was pretty much down to the bits. But I do have the original booklet that came with it. Show my government. Don't go back and look. I showed my whole government just now because I put my name on it. That's how little I was when I got these. It just is a very basic fold-out pamphlet. It says, instructions, tarot 1JJ deck, made in Switzerland, U.S. Game Systems, copyright 1970. So, well before I was born, it shows you how to do a Celtic cross, which if you follow me or you watch me, I don't really do the Celtic cross, like ever, but it's a good way to learn. It shows you the positions, what they mean. It's got a little tiny bit of a history of the tarot. There's an introduction. My favorite line is the first line. The origin of tarot cards is not known with certainty. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know why I get nervous when I talk about it, but yeah, it goes through the first 24, or the first 24 cards, the major, but it's, of course, numbered 0. And it just tells you the French name, the English name, and then the suggested interpretation. So that was where I first learned a little bit about them. I didn't know much about the minor, but I just kind of started reading and seeing if I could make anything of it. And then later on, I got a little bit better at it. I went off to school and I was able to do some readings for friends, meet other people that had cards, other decks, and books, things of that nature. And because I was away from home, I wasn't afraid anymore to really dig in. I had other experiences, and I will tell you guys in another video experiences about different readings I had and the results and how they made me feel, so on and so forth. So I will definitely go back to the topic of this particular deck of cards and some of the things that I learned early on in my study of the tarot. And then here I am, almost 20 years later. Almost 20 years later. Still got my same deck. It found me. I didn't find it. I found it the second time, but it's like it found me again. And so I like to use that deck when I feel like the message is really direct. I feel like it's sort of like the emergency message deck. I'm going to show you just, basic colors. So the colors kind of give you an idea of the mood. I know there are a lot of really beautiful, artful decks out there, but sometimes you just want to get to the major meaning. So here we go. But then the minor cards, a lot more open to interpretation. You've got, like I said, very basic color scheme, and then it sticks to the suit of the wands, the swords, the pentacles, or the coins, and I'll show you the cups here. Comes with a couple extra cards to just explain other decks. Here we go, cups. Some option for you. And it's served me very well. It was a difficult deck to learn because there's no interpretation written on the card. There's not a lot of characters besides the major characters in the major arcana. So no characters or people on the minor cards. But yeah, I just feel like it's one of the most authentic ways to learn because you don't have your cheat sheet on hand. You have to really rely on your clairvoyance, your messages, and it just talks to me. And it's super heavy. I like it. And the cards, of course, are pretty worn in from all the years of handling and stuff like that. I've never really let anybody borrow it. I've let people use them. I've done readings, and when I go out, one time I went out in public and I read everybody's cards at the bar, including the bartender and the barback with these cards, and everybody was shocked. There was a line. And so I like it a lot. Okay, second deck. Here we go. So my second deck is a lot weirder. And I got some tabbies here, organized by suit. It did come with, funny story about this one too. I walked into a store totally out of nowhere, didn't have really any money or any intent to purchase anything, but I happened to go in, and there they were in this deck, in this case with other decks. And I thought to myself, dang, let me at least take some of these out and look at them. And then as soon as I was handling them, I knew I had to get them. So Rock Art Tarot, a little expensive, but this one also U.S. game systems. So based on true to the original deck. However, a lot harder to interpret. It's got these cave drawings. So by rock, it refers to the rock, the physical earth rock where people first put cave paintings or, so whatever you believe. It's got a lot of different kinds of sort of Native American, sometimes African imagery. And then, of course, it's modeled after the original suits. But I think this one came out in the 90s. 97 was when this particular one came out. Created by Jerry Rowland or Rawlin, whatever, however you pronounce it, Roelen. Thanks, Jerry. And so they come in a little deck with a booklet. Rock Art Tarot, U.S. Game Systems Inc. Jerry Rowland. It's a lot of fun. It also comes with the Ancient Spread. Whole big booklet comes out. Interestingly enough, it does show you the same deck that I had before. as the original references, but it shows basically the Celtic Cross, how to do it. And then the booklet itself is where you're going to find a lot of the extended definitions. For example, the Two of Swords, the Two of Intellect, of the minor cards and their meanings, because you have to kind of know the original deck, or you have to be willing to spend a lot of time reading this, because the suits are different. So the suits are for the swords, intellect; for the wands, intuition; for the cups, emotions. Makes sense. And then for the pentacles, sensations, which makes sense too, because it's a worldly, physical thing, so on and so forth. That's the rock art. The back of the deck is really cool, interesting green color. It does have one piece on it, which I, interestingly enough, have not looked into the meaning of the particular illustration on the back of them, but I like the size of the cards. I like the feel of the cards, the way they fan out. They're heavy, but not too heavy. They're rounded off at the edges, so they're not gonna, cut you or anything like that. Ain't gonna cut you. Down here, look at that. Wild colors. Really wild colors. And then the overwhelming color of the card gives you a little bit of the sense of the mood, if you're into colors of, say, chakras and things of that nature, because there's actually a lot of blue, yellow, even a lot of pink, which you don't see in the other decks of the basic tarot. And then in the bottom here, it'll say the number and the suit. So this is the 6 of Intellect. And unlike that one, it does have a little bit of a, and it says 96 on here. So this artist probably recreated these paintings, and it looks like they were done in marker or ink, because if you look really close, you can see some of the strokes. So 6 of Intellect would be the 6 of Swords, and then it says to explore. So similar meaning to the basic, if you know the 6 of Swords, moving on. The character sometimes is seen in a boat, moving forward away from seemingly a negative experience, whatever, but here it just says explore. So there's a dark blue background, and the character's sort of got a Saturn reminiscent head shape. There's a sun or a moon here. And it's kind of up to your interpretation, so that's why I really like this one. Now, what's difficult about this one is that the royal cards, the king, queen, knight, and page, or whatever deck you have, they might correspond to different things, but they have different names. So, for example, in this one, the mankind is representative of the king, of intuition. So you've got your King of Wands here. Where's your King of Wands? So, dope deck. Definitely like some of the illustrations, because they're like a little bit more positive, a little bit more bright, but then also really strange. Like, you got all these hand marks here. And so it's helpful to have the bottom description, but it's also helpful to have just all these crazy colors, and once you get the hang of it, it's a really cool deck to use. I like to use this deck a lot for earth signs, because it is a rock deck, and water signs more so than I do for fire signs and earth signs. I feel like earth signs enjoy a much more traditional illustration. So holler at me, earth sign, if you're not like that. Air signs. Holler at me, air sign, if this speaks to you, or fire sign, if this speaks to you. And I have been known to use them interchangeably and for all different signs, depending on which deck is speaking to me. I also sometimes like to store this just like in a different little baggie, and then the baggie on the outside will tell me kind of what color I like to do. So I'll do another video about how I store them. Also came with this little booklet, so it's a little handy if you want to just not take the whole huge thing. Take the box, the cards, and your tiny has different spreads in here. Calendar spread, an example of one of those, and just kind of love this deck. It was a little bit pricey, even though I got it kind of secondhand, or it might be out of print. I'm not sure. Check it out. Let me know in the description, or let me know in the comments. But it's definitely worth it, because it's kind of rare and weird. You don't see it around a lot. And I like things that are rare and weird. So let's move on to the next. I'll take care of that a little later. I got an inherited deck given to me by my partner. It came with a book, and I believe probably a spread guide and other things like that. But I like to keep it in the smaller case, because I really like these fractal designs on it. Let me zoom in here. So if you guys are Magic D homies, then you might know that I really like the Mandelbrot fractal look. I think it's cosmic. It indicates the ripple effect going outward. And so that's what came in. The inside of the cards, however, and this is the Secrets of the Tarot deck, 2005, also 2017 re-released. Secrets of the Tarot deck. It's got the, major and minor, basic cards. And this one I think is the most user-friendly, I'm going to say that, of the bunch, because it has traditional illustrations, but it also has descriptions along the bottom of the deck. So, for example, and it's a darker deck. It has a different vibe for me. I like to use this one for like Scorpio, Capricorn, more serious-minded signs. Not that they're boring or anything like that, but just they want to get to the meat of things quickly, and just a lot of black in this deck, and that to me is a color of protection, inward worlds. You got a tough exterior, but inside you're kind of a mush ball. So, Nine of Swords right here. Very basic illustration that you guys have seen before. Tears and frustrations, letting go of emotions. This has this little cheat sheet on the bottom here. And it also shows you on the bottom here the suit. I never noticed that before, but tiny little sword, tiny little cup on the Six of Cups here, and this one says Happy House Childhood Memories. So that shows you, if you're a student of the tarot, how close that is to the universally accepted definitions of what these are. The Emperor. So when you look in, like, the Rock Art Tarot, or even, a lot of other, like, fairy decks, angel decks, your Emperor is going to be a lot more festooned, if you will, than this guy. This guy's pretty basic. He's got, very stoic stone throne with not a lot of extra regalia except for the ram's heads, which is very indicative of the Aries sign. So this is a really user-friendly deck. You just look at the picture and you can see what this person is. Even if I'm blocking this, you can tell this is a King of Pentacles. He's holding a pentacle. We got a Three of Pentacles here. Now, in the Wands is where things get a little bit different in this deck. There's just a lot of plain air. Like, there's not a lot of clouds, no sun. It's just interesting to me for the Wands. So, when I do read this deck, I pay very careful attention to the Wands. I'll be honest with you, because if you look, just these weird skies. And it's interesting to me, because if the Wands are a representative of fire, you would think that they're ready to ignite. So, but you don't see a lot of actual fire in the card. So it's like urging. It's a very urging suit to fire signs and creative people to kind of strike the match, because you see this empty blue sky. So anyway, the back is the same as the box. That's the Secret of the Tarot. And let's move on to the next. Let's mix it up. I'm going to give you an oracle card. So this is the Sacred Traveler oracle cards. Denise Linn did this deck. It's really beautiful purple and gold. I love those colors. It's my favorite. Right here, a little book. And it's a very nice case box. It's got really nicely finished smooth paper on the side. It's slick. The deck itself, gorgeous, of course. We have a mandala on there. It's beautiful purple, regal, royal. A very positive way to end a reading or to elaborate. And then I do like to read these in reversal, so sometimes that gives me more insight into what like the listener or whoever I'm doing the reading for really needs to do. Like right now it's trying to talk to me. And then the cards will tend to poke out. So unknown territory, narrow pathway, very interesting. It's very subject to whatever else is already on the table. I wouldn't do a reading just with the oracle cards because they just tend to be very broad and positive messages. For example, follow your bliss. And to me, this is like a finisher, like an icing on top of the cake. So that's how I like to use the Sacred Traveler. And this is actually one of my only oracle decks that I own. There's another one in the house where I live that is really interesting. It's more career oriented, and I'm going to do another video about that. It's the everyday leadership card, so I'll get back to that. But this one was a Sacred Traveler, and this could not be any more opposite from that. This is a very spiritual deck, I'd say. On the front here, we have a sun, but also a setting it's like we have a sun and we have a night. We have snow. We have water. We have this beautiful green thing. So it's like it's more magical because you wouldn't see this. You might not see this sort of scene in nature. A little bit roughed up from my usage, but very, very sturdy deck. And this is from Denise Linn and Hay House did this deck. So Hay House, it's not sure the date was. Let me look in the book. Okay, the guidebook. 2017, so very new. And this was when I found the rock art. This was with it. So I like to do the two together. And so this is Sacred Traveler. And let's see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. For today, I'm going to leave it there. And I'll go ahead and surprise you guys with some different decks later on. I do like the fairy deck and the angel deck. Also the Doreen Virtue, which is, a controversial figure. And then last, I just want to show you guys, my good friend, Julie, came up with these coasters. And I just want to show them off real quick if you guys are interested. Virgo, Scorpio, they are available for purchase. You can inquire below. Leo, these are original illustrations, waterproof. These are done in watercolor colored pencil and then laminated, signed by the artist in the back. Very stylish, colorful. What's cool is they already kind of look like they got spilled on, and so they're a little bit of a coffee drinker or tea drinkers. Little kind of could be like a marker. I know I like to use them when I'm doing different readings to mark what I'm doing. So if I'm on the Aquarius reading, I can just look down and be reminded of some of the traits and of the birthday. So for example, Aquarius, January 21st to February 19th, quiet, intelligent, shy. And it's really cool. I know that she's going to do a second edition. So first edition, holler at me. This is the tarot coasters. And so I'll see y'all in the next video. Magic Tea Magician Tarot. Like, share, and subscribe below. Let me know if anything interesting popped out at you about which cards came out, which ones are your favorite, which ones, if you're a watcher, which ones you prefer or whatever. Let me know. Magic Tea Magician Tarot. Like, share, and subscribe below. Deuces.